All right. So the doctor orders 227 milligrams of medication Q6 hours. The patient weighs 100 pounds. The therapeutic range for this drug is 750 to 1,000 milligrams per day. On hand are vials with 10 milligrams per ml. So the first part of the question, part A, is how many milligrams will the patient get per day? So I'm going to go over here and write milligrams per day. And so my on hand, what my doctor ordered was 227 milligrams. And in this case, because we're talking about days and doses, most of the time when we do these orders, we just do doctor's order over one. But really, that's always been doctor's order over one dose. So this time we're going to add the dose in. So I'm going to say per dose. And how many times in one day is this person going to get this medication? 4 times. Good. Times 4 doses per day. And yes, for those of you who don't really want to go through the whole dimensional analysis, all you have to do is go 227 times 4, and you'll be good. So my doses cross out, and I'm left with milligrams per day. So I'm going to go 227 times 4, and that gives me 908 milligrams per day. So according to this therapeutic range for this medication, it's 700. My range is 750 to 1,000 milligrams per day. So is my patient safe? Does it fall within this range? Good. So I can go ahead and give it. And now so in part B, will you give this drug? Yes. And if it wasn't within the range, I'd say no, it's either too high or too low. And if so we're going to give it how many mLs per dose. And this is just a regular level 1 math question. So I go back up to, they're asking mLs per dose. So I just go up to my 227 milligrams. And this you can either do per dose or over 1, whichever one you want to do. And times what I have on hand, and I'm looking for mLs. So I go 1 ml over 10 milligrams. My milligrams cross out, and I'm left with 227 over 10, or 22.7 mLs. And it doesn't say, but I'm going to leave it at one. I'm going to leave it at 1 decimal point for this one. Okay. Any questions on this one? No? All right. Let's try number 5. Okay. And so we're going to do number 5. The doctor orders 160 milligrams of medication Q12 hours. The patient weighs 44 pounds. The therapeutic range for this drug is 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram per day. On hand are vials with 10 milligrams per ml. And so part A is how many milligrams will the patient get per day? So I'm looking for what? Thank you. All right, so I've got my doctor orders 160 milligrams of medication over 1 or per dose. And how many doses per day is this patient going to get? 2. Thank you. 2 doses over 1 day. My doses cross out, so I know I'm done. And I have, 160 times 2 equals 320 per day. Milligrams per day. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. And you've already done some problems like these, so don't panic. So this is where I need to do my range. Because my low range is going to be 5 milligrams. And remember, only one can be on top. Everything else, you put the first one thing on the top, and then everything else goes beneath it. So 5 milligrams per kilogram. Oops, sorry guys. Kilogram per day. times, how much does my patient weigh in kilograms? 44 pounds divided by 2.2, 20 kilograms over 1. And I'm looking for milligrams per day. Sorry. So I've got my kilograms cross out, and I'm left with milligrams per day. So I know I'm done here. And so I'll go 5 times 20. And that's going to give me 100 milligrams per day. So that's my low range. And so far, I'm so good. My doctor's order is more than that. So now let's look at the high range. And so for the high range, it's 10 milligrams per kilogram per day. So I'm going to go 10 milligrams per kilogram per day times the 20 kilograms over 1. And that's going to equal, should be 200. 10 times 20. So 200 milligrams per day. So am I going to give this medication? Does it fall within that range? No. So even though it says, will you give this drug? No. If not, why not? It's too high. And so if so, how many mLs per dose? I'm all done. I'm not even going to solve for that because it's too high. Okay, does that make sense? So even if on your test question is asking for mLs per dose, if it's outside of the range, you don't even solve for it. Okay.
So do you write 0?
It will tell you what to write.
Okay.
If it says unsafe, it will tell you unsafe to give.
Okay.
Like if it's unsafe to give, put this in there, which is typically a 0.
Okay. And so even if it's too low, it's still going to be unsafe to give. Too low or too high. Okay? All right. Let's try number 7. Okay, so the doctor orders 150 milligrams of medication Q8 hours. The patient weighs 55 pounds. The therapeutic range for this drug is 10 to 20 milligrams per kilogram per day. On hand are vials with 50 milligrams per 2 mLs. And you know what? I'm going to stop it for a second, and why don't you guys try this one on your own, and I'll kind of walk around, and then I'll solve it in here, okay? Okay, number 7. So how many milligrams of this patient will the patient get per day? So there. So we're going to take, what's the first step? What's our doctor's order? There we go. Thank you. So 150 milligrams over 1 dose times, thank you, 3 doses per day. And our doses cross out, so I know I'm done that part. 150 times 3 is 450 milligrams per day. And so now I need to find out, will I give the drug or not? So this is part B. And so my low end, and so what's my low end going to be? Good, 10 milligrams per day. And how much does my patient weigh?
25 kilograms.
Good job. Don't you love it when the kilograms come out so nicely like that? Over 1. And so that's going to give me 250 milligrams. 250 milligrams per day. Okay, so that's my low end. And so now let's do my high end. And what's that going to be? Thank you. 20 milligrams per kilogram per day times the 25 kilograms over 1. And that's going to equal what? 25 times 20? 500?
500.
Good. Milligrams per day. And so does my doctor's order fall within that range?
Yes.
Good. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. So will we give the drug? Yes. And so how many milliliters per dose? Just a nice level 1 question. And times what? 2 mLs. Good. Don't let them trick you because we get used to putting 1 all the time. And our milligrams cross out, so 150 times 2 should give me 300 divided by 50. And did everybody get 6 mLs? Good job. You saved your patient.